Lawrence v. Texas, which held that the government cannot criminalize gay and lesbian relationships. Was it correctly decided?
Senator Blumenthal, again, I've said throughout the hearing that I can't grade precedent, in the words of Justice Kagan, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
So you can't give me a yes or no answer. Again, forgive me for interrupting, but my time is limited.
Well, Senator Blumenthal, I can't give a yes or a no, and my declining to give an answer doesn't suggest disagreement or agreement.
Correctly decided. Obergefell versus Hodges.
Senator Blumenthal, every time you ask me a question about whether a case was correctly decided or not, I cannot answer that question because I cannot suggest agreement or disagreement with precedents of the Supreme Court. All of those precedents bind me now as a Seventh Circuit judge, and were I to be confirmed, I would be responsible for applying the law of stare decisis to all of them. Well, Senator, you're implying that I'm poised to say that I want to cast a vote to overrule Obergefell, and I assure you I don't have any agenda, and I'm not even expressing a view in disagreement of Obergefell. You're pushing me to try to violate the judicial canons of ethics and to offer advisory opinions, and I won't do that.
I think a lot of Americans will be scared by the idea that people who want to simply marry or have a relationship with the person they love could find it criminalized, could find marriage equality cut back. I think it would be an America where I wouldn't want to live.
Well, Senator, to suggest that that's the kind of America I want to create isn't based in any facts in my record. And that quote that you read to me from the article talked about it being par for the course for those questions to be asked, but didn't say anything about whether it was appropriate for nominees to answer them.
Others have answered that same question, and I'm disappointed that you won't.
Do you agree with this particular point of Justice Scalia's view that the U.S. Constitution does not afford gay people the fundamental right to marry?
Senator Feinstein, as I said to Senator Graham at the outset, if I were confirmed, you would be getting Justice Barrett, not Justice Scalia. So I don't think that anybody should assume that just because Justice Scalia decided a decision a certain way, that I would too. I have no agenda, and I do want to be clear that I have never discriminated on the basis of sexual preference and would not ever discriminate on the basis of sexual preference. Like racism, I think discrimination is abhorrent. On the questions of law, however, because I'm a sitting judge and because you can't answer questions without going through the judicial process, can't give answers to those very specific questions.
Not once, but twice, you use the term sexual preference to describe those in the LGBTQ community. And let me make clear, sexual preference is an offensive and outdated term. It is used by anti-LGBTQ activists to suggest that sexual orientation is a choice. It is not. Sexual orientation is a key part of a person's identity. So if it is your view that sexual orientation is merely a preference, as you noted, then the LGBTQ community should be rightly concerned whether you would uphold their constitutional right to marry.
I certainly didn't mean, and would never mean, to use a term that would cause any offense in the LGBTQ community. So if I did, I greatly apologize for that. I simply meant to be referring to Obergefell's holding with respect to same-sex marriage.
When you did use the term sexual preference earlier today, rather than sexual orientation, is there a difference, and what is it?
Senator, I really, in using that word, did not mean to imply that I think that, that it's that it's not an immutable characteristic or that it's solely a matter of preference. I honestly did not mean any offense or to make any statement by that. I fully respect all the rights of the LGBT community. Obergefell is an important precedent of the court. I reject any kind of discrimination on any sort of basis.